Hey, welcome back to my channel. This is Jason, also known as Ominous Prime, and today I'm going to do a little friendly competition between Ocular Max's Saltus from Mastermind Creations, and then we have X-Transbots Virtues. Basically two different versions of Springer. Both have great qualities about them, both have some things that detract from it, but I just wanted to kind of give a comparison, and you can draw the conclusion on which one that you find works best for you. And as you can see, mine get along just well. And in case you're wondering, this is Saltus, and this one is Virtues, and the boxes that go with each. So to start with, let's go ahead and take a look at accessories, and we're going to go age before beauty. So to start with here, for Saltus, it's just a joke. We have this spear. It's an excellent accessory here, one that actually Virtues does not have. Saltus also comes with his sword, and this is the connector piece that will allow it to connect to him while in bot mode. Now this is a piece that is not available for Virtues to go ahead and store his sword on him in bot mode. At least I haven't found a way to store it on him as of yet. This also transforms to become the helicopter blade for him. We have his rifle, and it transforms so it can store on him in alt mode, in both of the alt modes, that is. And in bot mode, it comes with this clip here that allows it to attach to his body, which is a nice feature to have, especially when he's wielding this here. He also comes equipped with, I don't know what better way to call it, is a munition that was used during Transformers the movie. So you can hold that and make the memorable quote that we all love. And it's done really well. And he comes with 2 additional head sculpts. Now this is how you would do the swapping of faces for him. You just pop the head off and put a new one on. And then we have the IDW styled or Studio Aux styled helmet sculpt here in a more angular face. But you have different options here, and it's great to always have those included. And that's what you get with Saltus, aside from getting a collector's card, text specs reader, and instructions. Alright, now to look at Virtues, start with, we do get a flight stand. And under the stand, you can store all the weaponry, which is a nice feature to have if you choose to use it. And we have this for a substitute of the helicopter blade from the sword mode. And this is assembled properly this time, unlike how it was in the transformation and review video. And once I had this assembled, I'm sure if there was a way I could probably take this apart, but I can tell you the pain that it took to get all of this to fit together, that's not happening. It's not going back in the box. And it works well. And speaking of helicopter blades, here is his sword, which can transform into his helicopter blades as needed. Unfortunately, this I haven't been able to get it to peg into his hands properly. So his hands are made well enough to where it can hold it, but it's still something that's lacking as a feature. Is it just doesn't clip in really well into his hand on either one of them. Then we have his rifle, and he comes equipped with a second rifle, which is similar in style to this one here. Not quite the same, but close. Comes with two sets of blast effects here. Same one, just done twice. And it can be used in conjunction with the different accessories, such as the rifles, work with them. You can use it with this additional accessory, the munitions that I had mentioned that Saltus has. There's a larger version of that that comes here with Virtues, and you can connect this, as I showed in the review video, onto that. This actually will also plug into the rear here of Virtues, and you can plug them in here. So you can use it in helicopter mode and in bot mode if you want to give him just a little boost, get him up in the air. So I think these are really good, and it's actually made of like a sturdy plastic. It's not kind of like the mushy plastic that we get with the main line for Transformers. And for instead of like a head replacement, for the most part, you can change Virtue's expression by simply just replacing his face by pulling down his face off of his helmet and put whatever face you want to have on there for different expressions. If that doesn't do it for you, you do have this IDW head sculpt that is done really well. The only drawback is if you were to put this in place and of the head that's already attached, you won't be able to transform them into the other modes. This is only good for displaying them in bot mode. But, you know, if he's going on the shelf, he ain't going to be transforming. That is a good look to go with. And you do get the instructions, and you get the collector's card also with Virtues. And Virtues also comes with this, I guess you can call it like an alternate mode here for that one episode where Springer becomes human. It's cool to have. It's not a make or break it for either one of these, but it's just another accessory to have. So as far as accessories go, Virtues has more, and some of them are really cool too. And Saltus has his own set that make them stand apart. Now, looking at the bot mode for both of these, we'll do it one at a time here. So you guys stop being buddy-buddy here for just a moment. Start with Saltus. And I'm sure if you've seen my reviews, there's one for Saltus that's separate, and there's a new one that's up for Virtues. And you can see more of that there. But the main differences here that I can point out for Saltus is there is a difference in the head sculpt and the colors that were chosen to be done here. Ignore the logo, as those are put in by me. They're not associated with the bots out of the box. As far as like the bot mode goes, you have some flexibility. So if you wanted to have a more Studio Aux or IDW style placement, for instance, of the shoulder pads, you know, you have the flexibility to do that here with this version. And it's just that simple to do that. And you can swap out the head by unscrewing here and just replacing the head sculpt with the one that you choose. There is molding here, and this is die-cast metal. But instead of just keeping it kind of like the same kind of color or darker shade of yellow, they went ahead and just painted it black. So it makes it look, you know, to appear that there's more depth there than there actually is. The coloring for the greens, there's different colors of it throughout. This is more to keep in line with the different color green here versus light green. And then there's kind of like that breakup here, and they went with black on the insides here. So it's not exactly tune accurate, but it's kind of keeping a uniform look here for the bot mode. And I know a lot of collectors like this darker gray. However, to be honest, with the cartoon and even the original artwork for it, it's actually a lighter gray color than this. despite what our memories tell us. The other, I would say, drawback is how shallow, or not shallow, how small his feet are compared to the rest of his body. Because this is a bulky dude. It can cause some issues with him standing because the strength of his ankles aren't necessarily that strong. At least, again, to keep up with the weight of the rest of him. Because there's a lot of metal actually in this spot. I mean, there's metal here, there's metal in the feet, metal up here. So there's some weight to him. And, of course, he comes equipped with one of my favorite features, the blasters that are in the forearms. On the back, you can see there's not a whole lot of backpack here, but it does stick out a bit. But it's relatively clean. And I know we don't display our Transformers from the rear, but it's worth noting that this is all nice and clean. And articulation-wise, there's a lot of similarities between the two, so I don't think it's necessarily worth going into, which one can pose better than the other, because it's not really too different between the two. Now, if I had Fans Toys here, which I used to own, then we would probably have that discussion, because there's some limitations on that model versus these two that prevent it from getting into some of the dynamic poses that these two are actually able to do. But this is actually a very solidly built version of Springer, and I really do enjoy having this as part of my collection. Now, we're going to get into Virtues. And for Virtues, you can see the colors here are actually a little bit brighter here for like the green, so there's quite a bit of contrast from this green to the dark green. The sculpt-wise, it's pretty close to being tune accurate compared to the other versions that are out. And of course, he does have the feature that I do enjoy with Springer. It's just for that one moment in Transformers the movie where he's like, pew, let me go and take a shot with my forearm cannon because I don't have my other weapon ready in my hand for some reason. Even though, Autobot City is being attacked. He does have these faux-mounted, and this is made of metal, shoulder guards, pauldrons, whatever you want to call them. And I do understand some people are not going to necessarily like that they did this instead of having it the way Saltus has it, where it's actually a transformed part that's placed on there. But the reduced size on this makes it look more like the way that it does in the cartoon. And as I had mentioned, these are closer in color to what it was on the show. And I do like the size that they went with here. And a thing that I missed here that I didn't point out in my review of this is these actually spin. And I didn't know that. And I find that kind of intriguing that it does, because I had made a complaint that they didn't distinguish colors in here to make this darker. And all of this is metal here. But they added this in here so you can just spin this for some reason. And I find that it's just an interesting detail that they have in here. There's these little things that are in the instructions that are included with him that don't cover what's needed to get it completely transformed. So if you had some trouble understanding some of the stuff that was going on with my review, that's why that happened. It's just from tinkering with him after completing the review a bit more that I discovered that some of these things are not there that I was trying to do to get it transformed. Which in the review I actually had him transformed completely. There wasn't anything off. It was just some of the steps are just not laid out in the instructions. So that was a bit of a problem there. Paint quality. This one has a lot more paint on it than this one does. However, where it does have it in some places, it's already chipped. So that's a bit of a bummer. Whereas with this one, I don't have any paint chipping problems, but there's just not a lot of paint on him whatsoever. Most of the paint is actually concentrated here in the chest and wherever there's metal. So that would be his feet and his thighs. but I haven't had any problems with anything, flaking off or anything like that on them. And let's go ahead and take a look at them in the other modes. So let me go ahead and get them in those modes and we'll get to it. All right, that's one, and let's get the other. All right, and there's two. So now that we have them both in car mode, let's see if we can get a better look at them. Now, right off the bat, Virtues is going to go ahead and take the alt mode here for car mode as far as being close. Well, the closest one I've seen so far in Masterpiece form to getting that car mode to look pretty accurate. The one thing that was kind of a sticking point for me with this mode is the gaps that are back here on them. Granted, I'm not going to be staring back here, and I don't remember seeing in the cartoon what the back of them looked like in car mode anyways. The wheels are also center lined here. They're underneath here. Whereas this car mode, it's its own thing, and it's more of a Studio Ox look, so it's more than likely why it looks like this versus looking more tune accurate. One of the cool features of both of these is you can open these up and you get a kind of a look of the cockpit, for a driver to sit, right? The Fans Toys version didn't have that option. It was just... and I know I keep bringing up Fans Toys Apache, which I don't have here. So in a way, it's not here to defend itself. So I'm not trying to speak badly about it. It's just one of those things that, hey, I did own it. I want to mention it. And I know a lot of you out there are pretty much on the side if you already have a Fans Toys Apache, that's the only one that you need, and, it's the best. And if you feel that way, you're perfectly, welcome to feel that way. I'm not going to try and talk you down off of that cliff. It's just that there's other versions of this available, and if you don't want to get Apache, that's what this video is for, so you can take a look and see what else is out there. I had mentioned in this video, or for the review video for Virtues, you can't fit Spike in there, but you can here. Fits in just fine. So I can show you that there is some sculpt work in here for a chair, just like they did here. This is all metal in here, from what I can tell. So this is all sculpted out of that. I kind of like the look of this one, but I do like the functionality of that one. And in case you were wondering, you can see that they don't scale at all whatsoever together. Like I was saying, as far as like the alt mode goes for car, I think this is the better of the two, just for being closer to what you get on screen. But I don't hate this. I do like this. So let's go ahead and take a look at helicopter mode. All right, that's one. And let me get the other one. And there's two. All right, so there's obviously differences here, not only in scale, as you can see. Virtues is much larger in size, but also just an overall design for the two versions of the helicopter. Saltus being more bulky in size. This definitely has a larger front end, whereas this one's a lot more sleek. This one's more tune accurate. This I would take it more accurate to the source material of Studio Ox. So it's got different takes here, and it's not to say that I like one over the other. I'm just saying this one is more accurate to the show, and it seems to be the case in all three modes that was the case here with Virtues. Whereas Saltus is more likely to fit in with the Studio Ox aesthetic. And I do like them both. So it's kind of like, I know it's the same character, but it's kind of like not choosing the same kind of thing here. And I know that if anybody were to choose Saltus over Virtues, I think they would be happy. It's actually a very good figure. It's fun to go ahead and transform to all three modes, and you can do it with ease. Virtues is a little bit more of an undertaking. However, there's one thing here that I haven't extended out, and let me go ahead and correct that real quick. I'm sure you're in the comments going, hey, it's not completely done. No, he's more aerodynamic that we've done that. The cockpit doesn't change any sizes here, so that remains the same. But overall, this looks like a functional helicopter. Even though there's no helicopter that looks like this, nor one that looks like this one at all. One of the things that's missing on here is you can see that there is no landing gear whatsoever here for Saltus. Virtus does have landing gear, and they actually roll, so that's cool. As I pointed out in my review video, yeah, you can see it's got fists under there. So if this were actually flying over anybody, people would go, oh, you're a fake. You're not a real helicopter. Look at those fists. You're obviously a transformer. Whereas with Virtus, they go, hey, is that a robot head? You can't be a real helicopter either. Not that anybody would actually care. But all in all, I would say there's not really a bad choice between the two. So if you find one that you like better than the other, you know what? You win. If you decide to stay with Fans Toys Apache, still a win. One thing I'll say about Fans Toys Apache, it is no fun going from bot mode to car mode, because the legs are so complicated to get into the right position to where you think it looks correct, that you'll get it done in a timely fashion unless you sit there and you work at it and work at it and work at it until you memorize how those legs go. Once you have that memorized, then you got to undo that because you got to put it into helicopter mode and then back into bot mode. And it's time consuming to transform Fans Toys Apache, where I've gotten him yesterday and I'm able to transform him into all three modes, and I would say I could do all three modes in less than 20 minutes to a half hour at the most. Because once you've done it a couple times with this guy, it's not that difficult to go from mode to mode. Though this one I could probably do that in about half the time, which makes him fun. And truth be told, since there's not a lot of paint on him, there's no fear of scuffing anything or having anything flake off. Whereas the more paints that you have on a transformer, you're going to have that fear when you're going mode to mode and making sure nothing rubs, because you spend a lot of money and you don't want to have stuff flaking off. And that's kind of like the thing that you have to figure out what works best for you when you're collecting these. Is this one is less expensive than this one, right? This one has less paint on it and is less accurate to the tune than this one. And then we have Fans Toys, which is kind of like in between the two. It's not accurate to the tune. It's got what most other people that love it would describe as more of a heroic look. He's definitely got a lot of beef built into him. He's made of great parts, but you're going to also pay for that. And Fans Toys is not immune to paint flaking. It does happen. Parts rub against each other. You're going to have that. You have it with official products, so it's just the nature of having paint on your Transformers. There's going to be a lot of you that collect only just to open it up and put it on the shelf. These both come in car mode, so you can see when you get this one on display in the box, he's going to be in car mode. For ease of packing, he shows up in car mode, so you're going to have to transform him at least once. Whereas Apache, he comes, I believe, in bot mode, but it's kind of like mistransformed, so he fits in the box a bit better. The other great thing about this one here for Saltus is all the weapons, aside from his trident-like weapon, stores on him. So, for instance, we already have the helicopter blade, but This would actually just peg in on the side if you want to have it there, or this actually stores underneath here should you decide that you want to have it stored inside to give it more of a sleek look. So those are options available to you. Whereas with Virtus, I have not found any place yet to store his guns. But one thing I did leave out in my review is you can use these blast effects here. And this one's a little bit more snug because of the paint, but it gives it a really nice look to me. I like it that you can do that. And I'm going to move Saltus over. Not that I'm declaring him winner or anything like that. It's just I think that you deserve spending a good amount of time on this thing means for the helicopter blades. So if you want to have that on display with the helicopter blades, that's what that would look like. For Saltus, I did want to show that the blades spin decently enough. And you can see this tail section is just really small. It doesn't seem to match up with the rest. And I will say Apache has a really good look to it in helicopter mode. And you can see this one doesn't spin as well as the helicopter blades, the full rounded version of that you can put on here on instead. And if you want to put them on the flight stand with that, for display, it makes it look really cool. Both of these are available currently. I checked yesterday because when I was uploading this, you can still get this guy. I believe he's in the ballpark of like 140, 150, whereas this one will set you back about 200. With Apache, I think he fluctuates from like 200 plus. It depends on the day of the week that you're looking and who you're buying from. But either way, they're not too far off in price from each other. So if you're more in a budget, but you do like the look of Ocular Max, you wouldn't be wrong for picking that one. It's a really good figure. Saltus is really good. If you were to go with Virtus, I think it's a solid buy. I don't, aside from some paint chipping here and there, I'm really happy with this one. And if I still had Apache, I would include him in the video, but Apache might have just stayed in bot mode most of the time, to be honest, because he's no fun to actually mess around with. Also, there's some places in articulation where he's lacking, whereas these two make up for it. I believe that has more to do with like the abdomen. These both have ab crunches, whereas Apache, I believe, does not. It's been, I would say, over a year since I've had mine, so I don't quite recall. But yeah, I don't plan on getting rid of Saltus in place of Virtus. I plan on keeping both of them. They both are great. And I think that's all I got to say about these two. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section down below. If you like this video, or if you know of anybody else that's kind of on the fence trying to figure out what to do, go ahead and share my video. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you found me lacking, go ahead and give it a thumbs down. Otherwise, I appreciate you coming out and taking a look at this video. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000, just start with in subscribers, and slowly making that march. You can help me out tremendously. It doesn't cost you a thing to subscribe, and you'll be able to see when I upload new videos like this. All right, thank you for your time, and you have a good one.